I want to chat a little bit about the different kinds of learning modalities we're going to talk about here in the Blended Online Learning Retreat. So, we're going to be talking about three different kinds of courses or three different kinds of modalities. And those are blended courses, online courses, and tech-enhanced courses. So I want to, since we're going to be talking about these, I want to give you a bit of a definition for each of these different kinds of environments or these different kinds of courses. And so we're going to jump in and do that right now. So the first type of course we want to talk about are online courses. You're familiar with these, I'm sure, but these are essentially courses where everything happens online, right? All interactions, all work, everything is done virtually online. Now, within online courses, there's two big types. There's asynchronous courses. Those are courses where there's no virtual sessions, like there's no Zoom session or anything like that. Students work at their own pace, or they work through materials on their own and don't interact with anybody at the same time. Synchronous courses, as the name says, are a little bit different. They have that asynchronous component, but they also have a synchronous component. That'll be like a Zoom session or other kind of virtual session where everybody gets together online and are able to interact and work together in the same space, in the same virtual space. The next type of course I'd like to talk about are blended courses or courses in a blended modality. And these are simply traditional courses where some of the face-to-face instruction or some of the face-to-face time with students has replaced by online activities or an online session. So if a class met, say, 3 times a week, in a blended class, it might be once a week or even once every 2 weeks. And then the rest of the time would be spent online. The final type of course I'd like to talk about are technology-enhanced courses. Now, these are basically traditional face-to-face courses. They meet during regularly, they'd be regularly scheduled for students, but they have a substantial technological component, usually an online technological component that supplements or enhances those face-to-face classes. So I think one thing you'll notice that with the exception of truly asynchronous online courses, all of these other modalities will have really similar underlying strategies for designing and structuring the learning experiences in these courses. Essentially, whether we're talking about a synchronous virtual session, a once-a-week face-to-face session, or just a regular tech-enhanced class, the strategy you'll want to be using is using some of these asynchronous technologies to make the most out of your time together. So a great example of this is the flipped classroom model. I'm sure many of you have heard of the flipped classroom model, but if you haven't, essentially this is a strategy that's used in traditional classes where lecture or other kinds of narrative and sort of non-interactive kinds of activities are placed online. And then the face-to-face class is used for active learning activities, right? Where students can get together, they can do group work or other kind of problem-based types of things. It's really successful. It's used in a lot of different contexts. But the thing here is that this is essentially what you would do in blended learning, right? So you'd really want to have it in a blended learning environment. You'd want to do the same thing where you have non-interactive things done in an asynchronous part. And then when you're meeting together, you want to do really active things. Likewise, in a synchronous online session, you want to do the same thing, right? Have these non-interactive parts, these narrative parts, lecture parts being done outside of that synchronous session and really save that synchronous session for these active learning types of activities. As you work through the readings this week, think about how you'll be able to make the most of every part of your course by using some of these different strategies or different technologies. So think how you can make the most of your online portions of your course, and think about how you can make best use of your face-to-face session and how these different components will fit together.